training is about failure. How many times have I told you to train to failure? Training is about failure. So try, fail, try again, get better, get stronger. You get to where you need to be. So my name is Michael Baah. I'm 36 years old, 37 in a few weeks. I was born in Ghana. I came over to the UK when I was 5, and was more or less brought up by my grandparents. I was very, very close to my grandparents, almost like my mother and father in my life, really. So when I came to the UK, I couldn't speak English properly. I think my parents put me straight into comprehensive school, and I believe, from what I can remember, I think I struggled. I think I really struggled to try to just mix into UK life, to a point where I believe that the teacher spoke to my dad. I actually remember this. The teacher spoke to my dad, saying that I was quite slow. I was always being brought up in school as if I was quite slow, and being put into like lower sets for things, and I couldn't quite understand, because I know I wasn't slow. I was actually quite sharp. I just didn't process the way that they were teaching in a way that I could really understand. I was going through like lower sets, and I was actually being told I was quite disruptive in school as well. So it was not a good start. It was not a good start. I did enjoy school. And I did struggle at some, more or less, the communication. I think now I'm older now, I understand what the issue was. It was purely the communication. It was purely the style of teaching that I was being given. And my parents are very academic. My dad is a director of finance and accountant. I've got aunties and uncles who are headmasters. They've done very well in their careers. So the pressure was on the siblings, on the cousins, to kind of follow in their footsteps. So as I was growing up, I was really much of a comparison. You should really do what your cousin's doing. It's more or less like that. So it was really hard to actually find my own route. It was actually quite difficult, because I actually did not know I knew I didn't want to do what they were doing. I just did not know what I wanted to do. And the fact that, obviously, I wasn't academically moving forward was playing in the back of my mind as well. My parents were very much, I would say, old school in terms of, you have to learn a trade, whether it's a lawyer, doctor, accountant. I think this is the typical African upbringing. So that was my kind of focus. I actually went in school, and went from secondary school going into business school, wanting to learn business and so on. I quickly found out that this wasn't my forte. This wasn't the route I really wanted to go. In fact, when I was 15, I joined the police cadets as a little hobby. And I made probably my most lifelong friends from that. And I understood that was the route I wanted to go. I wanted to go through the police, and become a police officer, and go through the ranks that way. So 15 years old me, I'm learning the tricks of the trade, and going through that route. By the time I was 18, I joined the police, and I always say to this to my daughter, who is 12 years old, going to 13. If I didn't join the police, I would not have learned the skills to be where I am here. And I would say, just communicating with people is probably the biggest skill that I've learned. Being able to talk to every single person from all walks of life, to communicate, to interact, to get along with and build a rapport very, very quickly. So when I finally left the police, I got to a point where I was boxing for the police. So I was very much into my sports. When I was younger, I used to do basketball, any sport you name, I had tried. Okay, I was not a giver upper. I tried every single sport possible. I represented the school in athletics, basketball, hockey, you name it, swimming. So I was very much, sport was built into my mainframe, into my hard drive. So when I joined the police, I was inducted to the boxing team. So I actually travelled the country boxing. We went to New York, in representing the police. I had a massive sporting program like the army, which was an actual honour to do that and get away from not doing actual work as well, which is great. Um, so I relit my passion of fitness through boxing for the police at quite a good level, and had a fantastic coach. Now, this coach is probably someone who had really planted a seed that I didn't know I was there in terms of coaching. I mean, his coaching ability was very personal, and very outside the box. So, although I was learning boxing, and sport, he was really dabbling into my personal life, my mindset, how I'm going to approach life outside of boxing and fitness and sport as well. And that really stuck to me. To be fair, a lot of these life lessons I really do look back and use today, which is fantastic as well. Um, so when I left the police, I got to a point where I thought, I'm missing something. This is not the path that I really want to pursue. So I was looking at different things. I went into recruitment. I went into finance. I went into brokering. I knew that I wanted to make a lot of money. That was my sole purpose, but I didn't know what to do. So I was just dabbling. So I kind of wasted a year. Um, Actually, no, wasted is a really bad word to use. I was finding myself. While I was finding myself, I was learning new things. I was networking. I was learning new tricks of the trade, so to speak. In the background, I was still doing my sport and my boxing. I was competing, and I was in fantastic shape at the time. Training 7 days a week, you naturally become very very fit. Okay, my best friend started a TV program, The Only Way is Essex. So she was going to be on TV for the first time. I was super excited for her, um, and she wanted me to train her. I was doing everything for free. I was training my friends, family for free, giving advice. I was just doing it for free. It's something that I love to do and didn't really think anything about making a career. Um, it wasn't until her friends wanted to ask me to train, um, and we're talking about kind of high Z listers. Z listers turned into C listers and B listers and Premier footballers. Just sent me messages on Instagram and Facebook, um, and one PR company messaged me and say, "Look, we want you to train for the purpose of this. I'll say a high level footballer, um, and we need your insurance details and your certificates." And I said to him, I have not got any certificates. And at that point, I realized, I could really, really push on this. I really need to get qualified. I need to do this properly. It was only at that point I realized I could actually make a career from this. Something that I really, really loved, and was doing for free. I had no idea that how much to charge. I had no idea anything. So I literally went back, found myself a mentor, and researched the industry, and got stuck in. And from that point, that decision I made, it went crazy for me. I went from having one client led to 10, led to 60, and then I was in the media, training some high profile people, and also creating content. I didn't leave school with the grades that I wanted. Um, my parents put us through private schooling. We went to Saturday school. Oh my god, it was very very academically pushed. I didn't enjoy it. I probably didn't. I think now I know it's the style of teaching. I'm a visual learner. In fact, I know that I can take so much more in, and I didn't know that at that time. So I didn't leave school knowing that I had the tools to succeed. In actual fact, I don't think my parents gave me the tools. I think they tried to give me the tools. They really did, but it wasn't the tools that I needed personally to really thrive in this. I just wish that someone in the family, or my parents would have saw that I was doing very very well in sports and fitness, and said, okay, This is this is your thing. Let's ride on this. Let's make this better. Let's make you into Michael, who you are now, and work on that as a chosen career. There was no one guiding me in that path. I literally more or less stumbled on it, and it wasn't until I realized that, oh, I can sell this, that I actually made it a career. So yeah, I left school with literally no idea. I was just as confused as I was the day I got into this country. Um, so yeah, it was hard. Surrounding myself with like-minded people. I identified something that I was interested in, and I made sure I was around people that had the same interest or could teach me. Um, so I chose to go to police cadets while everyone was doing other things, like doing silliness outside and playing in the park. I chose to go to police cadets, and be around that industry. Um, as a young person, learning the basics, being mentored into going through the ranks. Um, I kind of done it subconsciously. I didn't actually think I was doing it. I'd done it subconsciously, but that was probably the biggest thing. And even now, I do. If I'm doing something completely different, I will naturally sway myself and attach myself with people who know more than me. I am not afraid to be the dumbest in the room. By the way, someone said this to me years and years ago. Two things I said: the harder you work, the luckier you get. Okay, that's one thing. And another thing, and I'm not sure. I think it was a family member that said that to me. I'm not sure if it's my dad also. If you surround yourself with four smart people, you're going to be the fifth one. You know. So I just made sure I was very selective with my friends, after I left school. If no one didn't serve me purpose, I was not hanging around with them. I was very, very selective with my friends. I was so in tune with where I wanted to be. At that time, I thought I was going for the path that I chose. Yeah, I mean, I'll be very rude of me not to mention my aunties and whatnot as well, because they definitely mentored me and molded me to the man I am today. Um, However, there's only so much you can always tell family, so even just things during school or sixth form at a time, I'm able to offload this to my mentors and for them to give me their own life advice. In a very safe, controlled environment, I'm able to talk. Something I wasn't able to really do and really speak my mind in I don't know, in a free way at home. And it really did relate back to sport, you know. And boxing is all about finding yourself. It's a very, very lonely sport. It's a sport done in a group. You're the power of numbers in terms of the support, but once you get into that ring, is really just you and maybe your coach just shouting things or words of wisdom and trying to tap into your psyche, your mindset. So that really, really helped me out. Any issues I was having with work, family life, or relationships, I was able to offload that and speak to the coach again. And I'm a true believer of this. Anything that you do inside the gym or a fitness element, will develop you to give you the tools to deal with it on outside of life as well. And that's something I definitely got from my first mentor. I got my first fitness role in Fitness First. A lot of people don't know this. I started selling memberships. I had no idea how to get into the personal training field. I just needed to be around that area. So while I was still training my friends and whatnot, I was in the vicinity of the fitness industry. There was this one guy. He was a fantastic example. If I ever envisioned a coach or a personal trainer, this is what I've envisioned this guy to be. He was very punctual. He dressed well. He looked apart. The way he greeted and spent time with people was perfect. And on top of that, he was very successful in his work. So I asked him. I reached out to him and said to him, "Look, I am very interested in potentially becoming a personal trainer myself. Do you mind if I shadow you? I just want to see what you do." And he was very flattered. He was extremely flattered. He says, "Yeah, I'm 100%. I'll take you on my wing and show you the ropes." It took me a while to pluck up some courage. because I just assumed to be busy. I just assumed he didn't want anyone stepping on his toes. But I was so glad I did. I learned so much from him, to a point where when I was actually ready to take the plunge, I had a ready-made business mindset in the industry. So all I had to do was just execute. So I'm ever so grateful, for him, and also for me to make that step, because it's a hard step for people to make. And even my clients, it's a hard step for them to take that first step to approach me, and I know it, so it's I do respect that. First and foremost, I had no idea how to market myself. That was one thing that I didn't know. Um, I just loved what I did with a passion. Like I said, I was doing it for free for so long. I just loved what I did with a passion, and I love people as well. I was so invested in other people's goals. I realized that quite early on in the police. I will sit down and talk to someone, and I'll thrive off their enthusiasm of how they talk. They'll be talking about Walker's Chris for all I know, and I'll get excited about how they're excited about. So I noticed that I really had a passion for helping people, and I would get really sold into people's goals, and therefore I encourage them to obviously fulfill that as well. It felt it didn't feel like things had changed. I felt like it felt real. I was still able to keep my personality, but it just felt that now I've got a full structure for taking a client from A to B. Um, However, having said that, I made so many mistakes, and that's the one thing is I still continue to make mistakes. Okay, it's not as silly as it was before. It's more it's more different business like marketing mistakes. I managed to fail forward, and again, I think this is just me, my general makeup. I'm not afraid to mess up and relearn things, and this is just sport. Anyone that does any sort of sport, they know that they have to mess up to learn to get better and so on. So that's the same approach I've taken for my business and how I am. I was happy to fail forward. The more I failed, the quicker I learned. That's something that I definitely took from that. You know, the more people I worked with, the more I learned. The more problems I had to solve, the quicker I was able to solve them moving forward. So I just realized that this is just a game of trying my best and then learning from it. I I like reverse engineering things. Okay, so I had a goal, and it's a very, very silly goal. It's a goal for me, very materialistic for me. There was a Gucci watch that I wanted for years. Okay, my first ever job was working in McDonald's. Actually, I never talk about this. My mum got me a job in McDonald's. I was 16. I think I was the eldest in my year at the time, so I was able to get a job quite quickly. Um, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. All my school friends used to come in. I had to wear this hat. I just did not like it at all. So my goal from that point was to do something around fitness or sport, um, to be able to earn enough money to get that Gucci watch. So I remember walking home from work one time, and I was just thinking. I could take the bus, but I went through the park, which was an extra 15 minutes, and I was just thinking, how am I going to get that Gucci watch? It's a very cool watch. I still got it now. How am I going to get that Gucci watch? And then I thought, okay, let's go backwards. How much does it cost? Okay, very expensive. My income right now is not really going to cover it. Um, what can I do in order to earn a little bit more to save £50 a month in order to get that Gucci watch? Because if I say £50 a month, it could take me a potential year to get that Gucci watch or more. So I said to myself, I can't work here anymore. you know, um, I knew that I didn't want to work here anymore, and I knew that what I wanted to do was is in the fitness world. I wanted to still have a hold in that. So I spoke to my best friend, and we came up to a conclusion that we were going to become lifeguards. So I was like, oh, this makes sense. We'll work for the council lifeguards because they pay more money, and if you work weekends, you get double time, and bank holidays, double time, time and a half. So first thing we done, we put all our money together. I think the course was about £700 at a time, and this is me being just young and naive. The watch I wanted was £750. So I managed to save. I can't remember. I knew it was on the 700s. I managed to save £700 to pay for the lifeguard course that me and my friend went and done. We went and done a course, passed the course, and we became lifeguards in our local pool, which we loved. We absolutely loved. It has a special place in my heart now. I still see some of my colleagues who we used to work with are now managers and general managers of that place, and it's really good. I didn't get a Gucci watch. I can't remember what I was doing with the money. I wasn't spending it well. I was just young and naive and making a lot of money because of the time I had. I didn't get that Gucci watch. I eventually did get that Gucci watch once I actually started a career that I wanted. Um, but I don't know if there's any sort of lesson to that. You know, I subconsciously work backwards. Absolutely, absolutely, and it's smart goals. I use that SMART acronym. Specific, measurable. I made sure that I wanted to achieve something in a specific moment in time. I didn't like my job, so I wanted to leave in a period of time. I saved up the money in order to so the actual reason, the actual issue was my job. It wasn't the Gucci watch. So I used that as a catalyst, as an endpoint to achieve the midpoint where I needed to leave my job to do something I loved a lot more. Oh my god, I've got so many. Treat everyone, no matter who they are, to the highest level how you want to be treated. Okay, regardless of what industry you are in, things seem to have a massive 360. You know, you end up bumping into friends, colleagues, and I think this is just basic common sense, really. For me, just treat everyone how they should be treated, how you want to be treated, because at some point you are going to need their advice, their help, their guidance, and if you're treating them in that sort of respect, they're going to give you that respect back, um, in any shape or form. If you don't like them, there's still a level of respect that you should have. You don't have to be holding their hands 24/7, but have that respect for people. That's number one. Number two is someone said to me, "You can't score goals if you don't have goalposts." Okay. By the way, it took me a while to understand that. It really took me a while to understand that. Um, from my understanding now, is if you're not in a position to score, you're not going to score. That was powerful for me. And I learned that quite early on. I still to this day have no idea who told me this, um, but that was the biggest learning curve for me because whatever I wanted to do, I need to be in a position to learn, to grow, and to progress. So if I'm not in that position, there is no way I'm going to get to where I need to be. That is hard. That's hard because I still don't have it 100%. It's definitely better. And it was bad before. I used to wake up at 3 a.m. to train clients and so on. And when I get busy, I get busy. I was naturally quite popular in terms of clientele. So it wasn't the fact I just have clients, is clients were referring me their friends and their family and so on. So I was at one point where I was actually turning away business. And no trainer wants to do that because that's money that you're losing. But it's unfortunately that is something you have to do if you're only one person, you know. So it was bad. Initially, it was bad. It's got better. I realized COVID lockdown was, for me, it was a godsend in terms of allowing me to slow down, rethink, and reorganize my business. You know, I have had clients I've been training for 10 years and they've stuck to me like glue. They're not going anywhere. you know, so I knew that, I love those sort of clients. I really love them because I'm very embedded in their lifestyle, their family. I love those sort of clients, but I physically can't be training everyone. So during lockdown, I invested heavily in my learning, on how to monetize my time, but still be able to help people as well. And I got into the online training space, and took it from there. And that way, I was able to train a lot of people, but not travel as much. Sell my time as much as well. And like I said, it's still not perfect, and I don't think there's anyone here that I know. I've trained some very high profile people, and they're still lost now. So, and I love picking people's brains to find out what's the best way. Um, it's a learning curve. It's a learning curve. Like I said, I've worked many jobs in the past up until finding my chosen path. There's one particular um, company I work for. I'm not going to name names, but I worked there as a social media manager a while ago. And in the boardroom, I was coming up with ideas to help move the business forward on social media, and I had a really really good idea that I felt the company would benefit from. It was an act. It was to do with health and fitness, and they shut it down. They completely shut it down, very rudely actually shut it down. I soon left that company and pursued my own thing, and I used the idea for myself. Filmed it, and it went viral within 2 hours of posting it. I got to a point where I had the Daily Mail calling me. I had Lad Bible, Unilad, um, Lad Bible Australia, and New Zealand. All of them were calling me, to me emails, asking to do a piece on me, on the video I done. I was so convinced in that boardroom that this will absolutely go bang for that brand, um, but they didn't see my vision, um, and I think that was a learning curve for me as well. Actually, I should always believe if I've got an itch, a desire, something that keeps coming into my mind all the time, I should really take action, take massive action on it. I did, and it paid. So I do get those creative streaks every so often, and when I do, they don't come very often because I feel like I'm running out. but but when I do take action, and they do pay off. Some of them do flop, but they do pay off. You know, um, but that's probably one of the biggest things to take. I've always had this mindset. I never quite understood it until I had kids. My daughter, my eldest, Saffron. I was watching her. I was watching her walk for the first time. Okay, and she's a stubborn girl. I love her for it. I love her for it. The girl will fall. She'll hit her head. She'll get up and walk. You know, um, and just watching her. And as a parent, you can become over. I'm very overprotective when things like that happen. I'm trying to pick her up, and she's like, "I want to walk." And my daughter now is exactly the same. My daughter Winter is exactly the same trait. She'll fall, she'll get back up, she'll hit herself, she'll say ouch rub her knees and get back up. That is my same. That's the same mindset I have for everything. In fact, I now expect to fail. I'm actually quite shocked when things work first time. Yeah, I'm really quite shocked. I do it. I do things to, and this could be actually a bad trait of mine, because I'll do it, expecting to fail and maybe not put 100% into it because I know I'm kind of testing the waters a little bit, but I'm expecting to fail in order for me to make the tweaks to make it better again. I do that for social media. I do that for career goals. I do that for clients. I do that for new projects and changing the business element of it. And it's a no stress, it's a no problem attitude I have. It's no problem. Whereas I can't really tell you if I was younger, I had the same mindset, but I know that now is literally no stress. Clients will message me going crazy about their goals and it's everything's going around. And I always respond, no problem. I think continuous improvement is, you know, no one is a finished article. I've worked with I've worked with some trainers who are better than me. I deem who are better than me, and they're always trying to improve. So who am I to say I'm a finished article? I'm not. I don't feel like I do get imposter syndrome sometimes. I really do get imposter syndrome. So I know that there's always room to improve. Um, and the only way you can do that is to fail forward. You have to fail forward. It's the quickest way to learn. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do get I'm in a creative space, so I do get the creative writer's block, and I've just come on the off the other side of one, which has been going on for quite a long time. And I'll be very honest. I still don't have the 100% the answer. But what I do is do things that kind of motivate me to be in that creative space. Whether I only follow a certain group of people, group of creators, that I'm always around them, so I'm seeing the sort of stuff they're doing, or I'm around people that challenge me. There's one of my best friends. He is he challenges me. It gets me to think a lot more, and I love being around him because I want him to challenge me. I want him to be like, Mike, why did you do it like this? And then I can think about it. You know, so I just try and be around creatives. I try to be motivated and do motivational things that gets me into that space. Whether I'm watching films that get me motivated, whether it's music, whether it's people, I put myself into that zone and see what comes off. My main goal at the moment is how can I impact some of my most incredible transformations who I've done locally to impact someone in Brazil, in Africa, in India. How can I create that sort of one to one, that sort of coaching ability to change someone's life on the other side? And I just want to use what I've learned to package it in a way that I can reach worldwide. Um, because it's all good and well being able to influence someone face to face, but it's even better being able to do it where they're completely on the other side of the planet. I think the ability to listen. I think my mum will say something completely opposite. Michael does not listen, but the ability to kind of to listen and to be sympathetic, compassionate. I think that is a good way to. I've read a book. It's called "Questions Are the Answers." Questions are the answers. I was given that book when I was learning interview techniques a long time ago. To just sit back and let people talk. People love to talk about themselves, so let them talk so you're able to listen. And then from me, from a business point of view, I am in a problem solving space. So I will let people talk and understand their issue. 9 times out of 10, they will solve their own problems. They just needed someone to talk to. So that is probably one of the biggest things that I've been able to use in my police career, my friends, my clients, my family life, is to be able to just sit back and just shut up, and listen, let them talk, for you to obviously be able to help them. 9 times out of 10, they help themselves. Um, The other one, I'm very driven, and I almost strive for perfection, even though I know that perfection isn't there, isn't a thing. I strive for perfection, you know, um, which sometimes is a bad thing because then I end up procrastinating, which I'm still finding my way around that. I want it to be that good. Sometimes it doesn't start, or it's impossible for it to be that good. But low quality will not cut it. So that is, even before I launched this online platform, I was looking for something to be easy and streamlined and perfect. I'm still looking for that at the moment. So that is something. I'm always striving for something even better. I'm always looking for the new equipment, new tech, new supplements. I'm always looking for something better. In order to either progress myself and progress other people. The field in the fitness realm is so vast, and it took me a while to find my USP. Now, it's very important to find something that you love to do within this field. Are you a weight trainer? Are you into sport? You know, do you like yoga? Find something that you absolutely love. And the biggest thing, the biggest take home was the fact that I was doing what I was doing for free for such a long time. I did not care the fact that people weren't paying me. It didn't even cross my mind. I loved it. You know, um, I can continue doing this for free. Well, unfortunately, I have to pay bills. But find something that you can love, and without any prompts, you could potentially do it for a long time. That way, you will never have to work a day in your life because you're actually doing something with passion and purpose. It makes things so much easier. You know, because then you can start building on. You found something you love. You're in tune to where you need to go in order to learn that craft to become even better, and it will make you blink and be super focused on making yourself better and learning more. That will probably be my biggest take home, and never be afraid to fail because even some of the best trainers out there, they're still learning new things, trying new things, developing new things. You know, they are happy to try new moves, fail. Training is about failure. Training is about failure. So try, fail, try again, get better, get stronger. You get to where you need to be.